Welcome to Fathernetics, Fatherhood Unfiltered. I'm Jamil. Welcome to the podcast.
Do it. You can never find somebody do it like me. I'ma turn it all the way up, cause it kamikaze. Go ahead and try, baby. You are gonna see that you'll never ever find somebody do it like
All right, guys. Today we have another opportunity to have a guest of honor join us on our podcast. My sister, her name is Jowharah. Hello, Jowharah. Thanks for joining us today.
I'm honored to be here. Thank you for having me.
Fantastic. Of course, the podcast that I am supporting today is my own, obviously. With Fathernetics, the focus here is better identifying some of the qualities that goes into fatherhood and how we have all seen this be nurtured or personified, if you will, through some of the people in our lives that are not just specifically males, but sometimes females who are taking on a joint role, single parents and things of that nature have a lot of fatherly components in it, but also recognize that there's value in having a male figure in our lives as well. Anyway, we both have the same father who has always been present. And I had an opportunity to have our brother Abbas join us on a podcast as well. So I guess one of my questions to you is, how do we know each other?
So, I'm your sister, your oldest, the firstborn.
The firstborn.
My name is Jowharah,
Yes.
as you mentioned.
So born and raised in Panama.
Born and raised in Panama. We came up here, I was 12 at the time, after the invasion and all that good stuff. Not good, but did high school was a culture shock at first, but, getting some used to with my age, 12 years old, got used to the whole being in the U.S. and everything. Now I'm married for 20 years to Robert. We have a 17-year-old kid that just graduated.
Congratulations, my nephew. Congrats.
Yep. It was a good old time celebrating him, and he's off to college this fall. And now we're empty nesters, so...
Yeah. Oh, okay. So, what are you gonna do now?
I don't know.
Empty
Well,
nesters is a
travel,
real
of
thing.
course, but my money now goes to a university, so you gotta consider
maybe not travel.
a little bit of traveling. We can be more spontaneous. We don't have soccer and all that stuff like we used to.
That is true.
So a lot of those things ended this fall. He's not playing soccer anymore, except for fun with friends and stuff. But we can be more spontaneous, more road trips, more date time, things like that.
That's fantastic. I mean, you have the space to create an exercise room at well, probably not. His room will remain his, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you have a guest room that you can do that in, but you will
Well, we
still
have downstairs,
family.
but his room will stay when he pops up on weekends, brings a friend. That's what
When he needs to get away, according
according to
Robert.
Dad.
Yeah, according to Dad. So, okay, which is a good segue. Obviously, we have the same father and the same mother and the same grandparents. One of the conversations we were having on a previous podcast is the impact that generational parenting has had on us and now has on our kids. So, Grandpa is probably as far back as I can remember as any male figure in our history is concerned. And I see a lot of qualities of him in Dad and Mom as well, because Grandpa had an impact on her as well. And a lot of him and a lot of Grandma is in us as well, me, you, and Abbas, our brother. So one of my questions that I typically ask everyone is, what are some of those qualities that you may see in either Dad or Grandpa that exist either in you or the way that your husband is parenting your son?
Well, just to go back a little bit, we also had great grandpa. Maybe I was exposed to him more because I was older. Great grandpa, mom's grandfather.
I don't remember him.
Yeah,
at
see,
all.
I remember I have a lot of memories in regards to him. We used to go to his house a lot, and Mom used to visit him before he passed. So
Did he live where her grandmother lives?
no, No, he lived somewhere
which
else
is
completely.
which I saw a movie just recently that looked like it was in that area, and I don't know that I have good memories of going to visit.
I don't think you went that
Gra-
often.
to
Great grandpa?
yeah, she lived like up on the hill,
No.
right?
Okay,
Wasn't
so
that?
that's not her. That's dad's aunt. You mean up the hill and you have to go through the fence?
I don't know if it was a fence, but it was like a channel, a canal was like running, and there,
Well,
I don't
you're
know.
dreaming? What happened?
No, we've been there a few times.
A canal?
Not like a huge canal, like a
No.
like a water a drain that ran through the middle in between the apartments is what I'm calling an apartment. You
Grandma Ione. No. Yes, mom's grandmother.
yeah
We went up the hill
yeah
and she lived in that one bedroom and the little. Yes. So that's grandma. That's great grandma too.
yeah yeah.
No.
Oh,
Yes,
we're gonna have
that
to
is
ask
great
Mom
grandma
then.
because that was grandpa's mom.
I don't know.
Mom.
I don't know whose mom that was either.
That was mom's dad's mom.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
So we
Yeah, that was traumatic.
Yeah, I never used to like going there. It was
No.
very
It was-
favela-ish.
It was different than what we were used to or exposed to.
Yeah. No
because
thanks.
we lived in a canal, but that's a whole different story for a different time. Because
Yeah.
it was different. But in regards to parenting, yes, mom and dad's way in which they parented, especially dad more so. Mom was very nurturing. Dad, as regards to me,
Well, so by design, the podcast is we'll have some questions that kind of will elicit descriptions of an emotion, right? Which emotions are sometimes hard to describe. But I think that this community that we're building with this podcast resonates with that, to be able to say, that's a feeling that I had, and I'm glad that I'm not the only one, or I'm glad that there's a group that feels the same way in a positive way, or whatever that happens to be. So it's not unusual to spend some time trying to answer the question, but it doesn't need to be eloquent. This is unapologetically a podcast. So if it's like a very basic term, it was good. Okay, then it was good.
well, I feel okay. So in that term, since you say that with dad, it felt like he encouraged for you to express yourself, be who you are, and he encouraged you, wanted to nurture it. Mom was nurturing, but she was a little bit more, I don't want to say emotional because a lot of people put that like a negative connotation to emotional, but she was very motherly. You could tell she was worried about certain things in regards to you, especially when we came up here, going to a different school. I think she was always concerned about how our experience was because she was used to Panama and how that school system was. Dad, on the other hand, especially me when I went to high school, encouraged me to go and do different things, was very structured.
So while you think about that, I had I guess my experience may be similar as well, which is where I get a lot of my structure from, and I've been referenced as being stoic as well, and I think Dad is like that. I don't think I've ever I think there's one, I have never seen Dad cry, right? I have heard him cry once in my life.
Dad cried when I had chicken pox.
Dad cried when I came out.
Oh, you saw that?
No,
Oh.
I heard it. It was on the phone, and to me, it was like it was the only time I've ever heard Dad cry, and I was like, wow. And it was impactful because not even at Grandpa's funeral did Dad cry.
You're right.
And I'm sure he cried at some point. I just didn't see it.
Right.
So it was like that must have been a moment for me. So
Yeah.
it sticks in my head. It's not a bad memory now. At the time, it was like, damn.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
So I recognize that a lot of me and some of the way that I interact with the world comes from him. It's very rare that I cry myself. So
even as a parent now,
No,
you don't.
no. As a parent now, I cry at movies with kids in them, where they're like, "Oh, Dad," and I'm
But
like,
so
"Oh my
you
God."
still cry. It's just
Right. It's just not. It's now a thing. I can't remember it being a thing for me before I became a parent, and it's the things that I cry about now. Now it's like all the parental stuff that I'm crying about. But I've also gotten a lot of my public speaking abilities from dad. Our ability to
negotiate,
have conversations, talk to anybody, engage.
And I guess that's one of the things, not to cut you off, but that's one of the memories. I always tell Robert that when we talk about when we were growing up, or we're laughing about a memory like going to school or soccer or going to a game when I was in high school. I remember I have to negotiate, like if I did something. I remember when Dad caught my CD, my explicit lyric CD, and I got in trouble over it. So I had to negotiate because I used to go to all the football games for LSIC. And I had to negotiate the games because we had big games. So negotiating and proving your point, even now, when we having conversations, the banter back and forth. Yeah, I might not agree, but we agree to disagree. But at least there's that dialogue where you can see my view and I can express, you can express your view with me. And it's that healthy back and forth. Me and Dad do that a lot. Sometimes you don't agree, but it is what it is.
So let me ask you this, because I often think about this, the juxtaposition between you and myself, because we're obviously Abbas is part of the trio. He's the youngest, so his experiences, I think, far outweigh ours in the fact that you and I had like closer in years, and experiences were like one right after the next. I remember years where I would get to go out and do things. And to me, it felt like it was easier for me to do things than it was for you. Like I didn't feel like I ever had a curfew.
Nope.
Never had a curfew.
You could leave the house at 10:30, 11, 12 o'clock. Me, I had
you had to be home at that time.
I had to be out the house before then. Like I would, like when I used to go with my best friend and we used to go out, I'll have to leave the house by 8 o'clock and have clothes with me and change at her house, and then we go. But I needed to make sure I was out of the house by 8, because 9 o'clock, and it was more so Mom. Mom was like, "Where you going? You're not going out. It's 10 o'clock. We're not going out. You could go." And you said, "I'm going bowling at 12:01." I'm like, "Really? You going bowling?"
No, I was.
I know that. I know you were. I might not have it, but
I know a lot of people may assume that I was doing stuff. I was always doing.
But
exactly
I knew that you were.
doing.
Yeah, I knew you were. I will use that as an excuse.
Oh, Jowharah.
But Mom was more of the. Dad would try to reason. I thought it was Mom. Dad was, because Dad would talk about when he was younger, he was the partier and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Going out to the clubs and parties. So I think Dad could understand where I was coming from when I wanted to do those things. So I think not that he was lenient, but it had to be within reason. Mom also was like when I came home late, the one that came in my room to see why you coming home at 1 o'clock was Mom. I didn't worry about Dad coming to my room and asking me anything.
See, I had my experience was a little bit different, because the first time I wanted to go out and stay out late, Mom and Dad explained to me that I needed to have the who, what, when, where, and why. And ever since that first conversation, every time I approached them, I had all of that. And it never gained any question. Like, okay, you gave me everything we need. Cool. And obviously back then I think it was before cell phones, or maybe it was just as cell phones were coming out. So I would call every 3 hours. Hey, just checking in, blah, blah. Never missed a call. I was very, very, very careful. And then when I got home, I would always go to their room and say, "I'm home."
I didn't. I went straight to my room.
Always into the room and, "Hey, I'm home." And then they'd be like, "Okay." And then I'd go sleep. So I think maybe those nuances.
But I wonder if it's might be because I was a girl and they might have been worried of me being out there after a certain hour. But I wonder if also it was because I was the oldest and this is the first time they're experiencing a child going out there, being out late, going to a party. And they might have compared it to what they did when they were younger. So they want to make sure there's certain things I didn't do or get into. But I wonder it was them. Okay, like now with my son, he's 17. He's out right now. He stayed out till 2:00 in the morning. That's the first time. I was up. I was waiting. He came to the room. He knocked. Okay, that was the first time. He stayed up till out with his friends 10, 11 o'clock. But this is the first time he stayed out till 2. So it was that, okay, I'll make sure that
The first time,
he's all
yeah.
good. You know, he's in a car with his friends. They're late. All these graduates are out, you know, things like that. So I wonder if it was that too. The first time that they're actually going through, a child actually going through these experiences, going out to club, party. I was in high school when I started being more social. And then when I got into college, I think they might have gotten used to it.
Yeah,
by
I don't think
then.
this was an issue during college. This was high school years for me and I was going clubbing on Richmond.
Oh, now
staying
you
out
tell.
No, they knew. I told them. It was very rare that I ever lied about anything.
Well, I didn't lie. I
Well,
didn't.
I didn't say you. Are you feeling something?
No. I know for a fact I didn't lie. I told them.
Yeah, I told them too because they wanted to know where I was going. So I mean,
But I didn't get that question just like that. I didn't get where are you going specifically.
they didn't ask me either. But I gave them that information as a part of the who, what, when, where, and why.
Yeah, I didn't give him all that.
They always had it.
W's.
Every detail. Who you going with? Where are you going? What time are you coming home? All that stuff. And
I always said who
always
I was
on
with,
time.
where I was going, and when I'll be home because I had a 2:00 curfew. So
That's crazy.
yeah,
I still remember that. I used to.
I
I
would
remember
make
one time I went out and I came home at 5:00 in the morning because I called and I was like, "Hey, we're still here." I know I said I was gonna come home at 3. I called like way early and I was kind of come home at 5. They were like, "Yeah, fine."
I had a 5:00 time, and I was hanging out with remember my one of my classmates, Miguel. I used to go to his apartment. We used to just hang out and chit chat, and I did call and tell them, "Hey, I'm gonna be a little later. Is it okay for me to be a little later?" And if they said no, which they didn't, as long as they heard from me, I think they were okay.
Yeah.
But I didn't have to.
But I don't think they slept either because every time I
I
called to
don't
check
think
in,
mom slept.
hello.
I don't think. Yeah, no.
Oh, so let me ask you this as a parent, and this is less so about fathers, but just parenting in general. That that occurrence, is it more like, okay, I get it now?
I think I got it before I became. No, when he was first born, because those are things I would think of, even when he was younger, Bryce.
Yeah.
More so now, I'm not worried now. I'm just aware, and I want him to know what I think of when he's out, because Dad would say, "One day you gonna know. One day you gonna know what I'm talking about," because he would say something to me. I'm like, "Okay, Dad," and then he like, "One day you gonna know." And now I know. I know.
I mean,
what,
it's true, and we're telling our kids that.
Yeah. So I think also Dad communicated that with me. So I feel like the communication with me and my son and knowing what the expectations are makes it a little bit better, but I'm still going to worry.
So I think one of the things that both our parents did well, but I think Dad more so than Mom, is really trying to add a lot of context and detail to some of the things or the reasons why you can't do this. So I think there was a lot of a wealth of understanding as opposed to you just can't do that just because.
Yeah.
Or, it's dangerous out there. Don't do that. It's more of, here's why I'm thinking this. I mean, at the time, we probably didn't agree. It was like, oh, you're crazy. But at least he spent the time doing that. And I think that's a quality that I continue to use with Jacob when I have the patience, because I'm not perfect at it. But I try to provide more insight. This is why I'm saying this. Just now he's asking me to eat. It's after 10 o'clock. Like, why are we still eating? Can I have more chips? No, it's after 10 o'clock. It's going to be time for bed pretty soon.
Yeah.
No, you cannot. We're not going to get ice cream right now. It's calm down time. So there's a lot of that happens, and I think a lot of that is part of intentional parenting that leans heavily into doing things that we have found to be successful with us now as adults, and not doing the things that we have found not to be successful from our parenting. So with that in mind, what do you think in your perspective have been some of the blessings or things that have helped craft who you are today that you are now passing down to your kid coming from dad?
Well, one of the things, in saying that, one of the things that popped in my head is don't do whatever. Don't do this. I don't want you to do that. Why? Because I said so. That's always been a thing in the back of my head.
Mm-hmm.
Because I said so, it's like, but I don't understand why. You're not telling me why. So I'm very intentional when I tell Bryce I don't want him to do something, or I don't want you to go here, and I don't say I don't want him to go anywhere. It's just if I tell him not to do anything or a specific thing, I wanted him to understand why, and not simply because I said so. That's not enough. It wasn't enough for me. So I don't want to just say that to him and not offer an explanation. And even now, when I say it, sometimes I'll be like, oh, and I have to put it to words and explain to him why. And he now expects the why.
Yeah.
Because
now you have to be careful why you're saying no, because you're going to have to provide some answers. Accountability.
And I created that, but that's also something that I wanted younger, because to me, because I said so wasn't enough. And I will get upset because I was like, okay, you just telling me because.
Yeah, now you're upset for a different reason. You're upset because you don't have the information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that, and dad will always offer a why. Most of the time. So I think I picked up on that, and that's one of the things that I brought in to my son in regards to parenting, even with Robert. If we have a discussion, the why. I give you the why. Why am I upset? This is the why. So I think that banter, that communication is something that is intentional based on previous experience with my dad.
Yeah, I if we had a podcast that was mom specific, we would have a ton of things to talk about that we've gotten from mom as well that has filtered into our relationship. I think, again, because Nick and I are same-sex couple, there's always a thought from those looking in, where's the mother side of things. And because I've had a mother and a father, and there are so many similarities between them because, they all grew up in the same area and experienced almost the same thing. Obviously, they're different as parents, and their styles were different. But both of those styles together is what has made me who I am today.
Right.
And I think the same is true of Nicholas, right, wrong, or indifferent. Those styles have made him who he is today. Mm-hmm. And we're able to infuse that into our parenting. I had a conversation with another guest that I had on a podcast, and he was saying that through the adoption process, the agency that he was paired, not the agency he was paired with, was saying you cannot adopt a girl because you don't have the feminine qualities necessary to raise a girl.
So is that the same for a male?
And that was my question, hypothetically, of course, because I wasn't talking to the person that made the statement. But how is it that you're saying there's no mother, so you can't raise a girl? There's no mother for a boy as well. So that doesn't make sense.
Right.
However, both qualities can exist in either sex.
I agree.
So the distinction of needing to have a mother doesn't disqualify someone from being able to provide motherly love. Now, if you have the benefit of having a mother, then you have an additional person with different qualities, just like you would in any two-parent household.
Right.
Of course, if you have a single parent, then it's probably a balance that has been obtained. Maybe you're getting 80% of motherly love from your mom, and there's that 20% of the fatherly side.
And you're pulling from your experience with your mom and putting it into your
Exactly. So I've had the benefit of mom and all the things that I went through.
But we do that too as a woman. I pull from my dad and I pull from my mom, and I can offer both to my child. You know, I'm not in a same-sex relationship, but I can still
But that's the ignorance of people who try to make the argument to disqualify someone. It's the quintessential prejudicial talking.
Yeah.
You know, someone who's trying to remove something from someone is going to find a way. And it's unfortunate that that's the case. But I think, again, going back to the qualities that we've gotten from our parents, I see a lot of my grandfather and mom. All of that.
Grandpa Brooks and mom?
Grandpa Mayers. Because I never met Grandpa Brooks.
Okay.
But Grandpa Mayers, in his outgoing, party mode, I am, bring people in, make them feel comfortable. You are loved. Like, you are part of this group.
Mm-hmm.
That comes from Grandpa. And mom is really good at that.
She is. Yeah, she is. And
Dad
is
like, okay, you go talk to mom. You go talk to mom, and if she lets you in the group, then we cool.
Mm-hmm,
but I'm not gonna be the one to let you in.
Yeah. You need to go past that gate over there first. Yeah,
yes.
I'm more like mom. Even says that I'm more like that. You and mom are. I can chill, be low key, until I know you.
Yeah.
Know you.
Yeah.
I know one thing about myself. I'm very cautious about people when I meet them the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I get to know you, I hold that kind of space in my heart or in, around me in high regards because it's important to me. Friendship and family. I hold those kind of relationships dear.
Because they're impactful to your relationship, right? The friends that you have, I talk to people about this all the time. The friends that you have and the connections that you have are now impacting your child. So now that is a little bit more of an intentional thing. Like, you're our friend, yes. Are you our friends with our kid?
Mm-hmm.
Are you exuding what we want our kid to be exposed to? Yeah, okay, then you can stay. However, if now we have a kid and you're not keeping up with that, you got to be sunset, because now there's a danger of you providing influence to our kid that goes against what we're trying to
do. Right.
Yeah. So now you're a great person, but you're not what we're looking for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you for the interview. You didn't get the job.
Yeah, or you might be demoted. You only get certain level of access to my family.
We only hang out when the kid's not involved.
Not here, right.
I don't have that level of patience with people. You're either in or out. That's how I've always approached friendships. You're either in or out. But I don't have any issues there.
With friendships, with me, that has nothing to do with my son, because I have friends that know my son he's part of the circle, and then it's just me and you.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't necessarily see this, because this might be friendships at work. I'm close to you, but he might not see you or be exposed to you as often. But I think I give people a little bit of grace, not as much as mom, because she's fair weathering. Not fair weather. What's the word she always use? Long suffering. When it comes to friends, I might give you a little bit of leeway, but then after a while, if you keep doing the same thing that we discuss is an issue, then I'm done. And when I'm done, I'm done.
I am too. I get that.
You
from mom.
Done quicker.
I am done. I have a very black and white approach to things, which isn't always. That is dad. And it hasn't always served me well, but it works more times than it doesn't. I
would agree with that in my regards too.
I haven't mastered it, but I do know that it exists, and it used to be an approach I took into every relationship, and I have since long time ago learned that it can't be that way
with everybody.
with the long-term connections that I have. But if you're new in my life,
It's quicker.
Yeah, they're unfortunately it's an option. Like, hey,
I think the ones that you've been together, the friendships that have been you've been in the longest are the hardest, because now you're so attached. It's more you're more attached to that person because it's been a long time since you've been friends. So you tend to give them more grace. I think in my regards, you give them more grace, and I think that is on my mom's side. But
they deserve grace.
They
because they've
I
been
think you earned it,
friends,
right?
Yeah.
But like with that,
you can use it up.
It's like I'm done. I don't have time for this,
Dad,
and I'm protecting my peace too.
Dad is very, and I think we've picked up on this. We've got this in our blood as well. He's very family oriented. If you are driving a wedge, causing issues, stepping on toes,
you are not an outsider.
If in the minimum you cause any kind of discomfort to mom,
especially mom,
then you are now a problem, and you're going to be dealt with. And I think that is a marker of a certain type of love that they've always had. They ride or die for each other. Like, hey, you come after her, you come after us both.
Do you find that impacts the way how dad is with mom impacts the way you are with Nick? Like,
yes.
Ride or die?
Yes.
Me and you against the world kind of thing?
It's me and Nick against the world.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we determined that earlier on in our relationship. It was something, I've always been a good communicator in our relationship. I will tell you what I need and what I don't need. Now, obviously, I'm not perfect, so I mean, it's not like communication is perfect, but we are both able to provide enough information for us to know how to deal. And we've already made those agreements earlier on, which I think is a tribute to how long we've been together. It's been 23 years. So if it's not us together, then who is it at this point? Right?
I know who is this?
Yeah. So with any new connections, any old connections, whatever, if you try to come in between us, you're gone. Forget it. You're done.
Yeah. That's how we are.
Me and Nick, it's ride or die.
Me and Robert is like me and him against the world. We'll sit, things. We have family stuff that we talk about, things, stuff with his dad and whatnot, family members, boundaries, things like that. If somebody starts stepping over some boundaries that we have set, we will sit and have that conversation. Yeah, in the beginning, those kind of conversations are awkward.
Difficult conversations is the term to use in psychology. And I think that we are good at having those. I think dad's stoicness lends very well to being able to disconnect the emotional component and say, we're going to have this conversation and this is how it's going to go. And I've done that a few times with some friends and stuff like that. It works very well when I'm the boss at work. That's where that really comes in handy.
Well, you can disconnect.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. This is a hard conversation, but I'm going to disconnect and tell you you're fired. No, I think I've done that once in the last 5 years, which was difficult to do. And I think in my old age, it's I can't.
Who's old? I'm older than you.
You old. I think that
I'm a great 47.
I encourage Jacob and myself and everyone to infuse emotions where necessary, because I think those are important to guiding us to where. But anyway, where do you see these qualities represented in Robert? Because I had an opportunity to have him as a guest on the podcast, and he has some great insights as to where some of his fatherly spirits have come from and where they have not come from, and how he's kind of molded this clay into something that he can use to pass on to your son.
Robert is very he communicates well. He encourages. He opens the door or the line of communications where we get, if something is up or he feels like something is off, he will ask that question. Okay, I feel like something is off. He doesn't want to assume that everything is okay. So if something is off, he will open the door like, okay, what's happening?
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk. I don't want you to sit in whatever you're feeling
Mm-hmm.
and don't say anything and just walk away and or walk around with this feeling and then one day you blow up. Those are and he's very intentional in communicating. We've had one of the things that he has taught me, and I think he does that with brides, is just expressing honestly, as uncomfortable as it may be, how you're feeling all the time, and this is how we can try to fix X, Y, and Z. This is what I need. I didn't do that. I didn't feel the need. It's kind of like how people say, you know, you should know these things, you know me, but Robert is like, this is what I need. And those are the things that we try to push with our son. What is it that you need? What do you want? What is making you feel this way, so he can communicate it? He's an only child, you know, so those are things that I'm very aware of, that potentially where he can go into himself. Does that make sense?
So getting those qualities from from you also, but from Robert as well. Do you think that is the difference in having a good father as opposed to just someone who is the breadwinner or providing financially?
As far as that communication?
Let me rephrase the question. We have a lot of parents out here in the world, dads, that don't necessarily emote or communicate in ways that infuse emotional care into their engagement with their kids. And historically speaking, when you do have parents that do that, it's usually shunned or looked at
seen as weak.
Emotion. You're just an emotional parent. Why? You know, you should be strong, and you know, you shouldn't.
You're a man. You're masculine.
Be a man, and toxic masculinity.
Yes,
right?
yes.
So that difference that you see in Robert as a father, very noticeable for you.
Mm-hmm.
How impactful do you feel that is for your son?
To be expressive and emotional.
Right. So have you seen that go from like a shade of blue to a shade of green because of that? Because that exists. Is he now more?
But I think it's always been there with Bryce. He's always been he shows his emotions with Bryce. It's like, just because you're a man doesn't mean you can't cry. Like I think.
But that's something you have to say, right? Because
say and show.
Right.
So he's shown it. He doesn't necessarily. Oh, well, he said a couple of times, you know, I'm gonna cry. Like, let's say graduation. You know, when we had his last soccer practice, last time he came off the field, you know, we were like, okay, this is the last time he's gonna play soccer for this league in high school. You know, we expressed, oh my God, I teared up. Robert is completely honest about that. I teared up because I saw you run off the soccer field for the last time, and you were about to go into the next phase and going into graduation. You know, he's cried at graduation yesterday, and Bryce saw that. He does not double negative, but he does show his emotions in that regard, and also upset, crying, happy, same thing. Show all the emotions. Bryce is a little shyer. He's kind of like me. I'm sometimes a little bit more reserved, more observant, but he does show when something is bothering him or he needs to talk about something or show kind of emotion. He does express it. Sometimes you got to pull it out, but I think because of his age also, we're still working those kinks out, because we didn't just learn this when we were in our 20s. We also, it's always evolving how we show that, even, now 47, I'm still learning how to show those kind of things. So he's young. He's still, learning those things. But he does see it. He does not shy away from that. He is an emotional man, and he shows
All
it.
right, so
Even with me, he shows it with me.
So you would say, not to put words in your mouth, but would you say that his Robert's ability to freely express that is what encourages everyone in his orbit to be as vulnerable?
Not everybody is receptive to that, though. He might show vulnerability. I guess you got to feel it out too. There's some people in.
Well, his orbit would be you and Bryce.
Okay, just us directly.
Beyond that, you can't. People do what they, because they don't live. They don't live with you guys. They don't see it every day, right?
Okay, when
if
you
they
said
see
orbit,
Robert cries, probably they probably go, oh, it's the once every 5 years, but he, every Tuesday he's crying. You don't know that.
No, they don't know that. But it's not like he's crying all the time.
No,
either
of course not.
in our orbit either.
Baby.
But when he's emotional, he's gonna show it.
Yeah,
he does show it. And I know you've seen. You saw him yesterday. I don't know. You saw the tears in his eyes.
No, I think that's awesome. But we're even though Dad is stoic, he expresses emotions.
Yeah, but he doesn't have to cry to show that he's being emotional.
Agree. And I think that's just because we know him well enough. We can tell more than most.
Yeah.
But we see a lot of the emotional side from Mom as well. And as a kid, I was emotional. When Mom used to leave to come to the United States and get on an airplane, I was crying about that. When Dad used to raise his voice at me, I was crying about that. So I mean,
if you raise your voice at me, even Dad, if Dad raises his voice at me, one time he did that and he was really upset because Mom was not feeling good, and he was already upset about that, about her not feeling good. And I was probably feeling myself that day, and Dad raised his voice at me, and I burst into tears. I think that impacted me, that you can't raise your voice at me like that, where I'm feeling like you're
more mad than you should be.
Pissed at me, or pissed off, upset at me, and now you raising your voice. That I don't receive that well. I don't hear anything anymore because now you're yelling. You need to talk to me like I'm talking to you, expressing myself. You can't raise your voice at me, but like that,
Yeah, but that was rare.
Dad is not that, and I think that might have why it impacted me so much is because Dad did not do that, and that one time when he did it, it's like, wait a minute, I'm the baby girl. What are you yelling at me for? But
that's why
it was a combination of things too. So
I was saying that's why you had a curfew, because you were a baby girl.
I don't really feel like that was Dad. Just because I was a girl was why I had X, Y, and Z. I wonder.
I don't think so either. I agree with you. I think it was just because you were the first in line.
I really legitimately feel.
It was just my experience is what I'm saying is I don't know.
Well, I paved the way for you to not have a curfew. You're welcome.
You know what? I appreciate that. I didn't see it that way.
Clearly, but let me let you know, even though we only, how far apart are we? 13 months?
Yeah.
So I paved the way. I cleared the driveway.
I appreciate it. Thanks
for you to just go bowling at 12:30 at night with friends.
But I even feel like at the time that I was able to go out and not have a curfew. Even in that same week, you had a curfew. Is how I feel. I
wonder if I set myself up for that curfew. I wonder if I just started.
Like a conversation.
Okay, maybe. Okay. And I went out with friends. Maybe the curfew was for them.
We're gonna have to ask that. Okay. So my last question here is, what is the biggest surprise, and this can be from your motherly perspective as well, what is the biggest surprise that you've learned from having a kid?
Wow. How far I haven't had to go far. I don't think I've done any as a mom. The things I would do for that kid is one of them,
That sounds like a mental exercise, though. Like, if I had to in this scenario, I would say yes. But what have you actually experienced that you would be like, oh wow, that was new, or oh, I never thought I would do that?
I've never been surprised with what I've done
Maybe that's it.
because I was willing to do it.
You were so prepared. Everything
No,
was in.
that was not the case. I was not prepared every time. I've thought about things, about how I might handle things in regards to Bryce.
Mm-hmm. Like, when you first had Bryce, did you think he was going to be the loud, obnoxious, maybe obnoxious is not the right word, but the loud and super extrovert kid? Because I can tell you right now, my son is an extrovert to the true sense of the word. He recharges in the midst of chaos, and it goes against exactly. It goes against how Nick and I are. Like we want quiet at 9:30 at night. It's like, please calm down. And he's like, he's still going. He's like a light switch. You turn him on and he's fully awake, and then you turn him off and he'll go to sleep and boom, he's gone. So he's either on or off. We have like wind down, like.
But
Nick
you
and
are
I
intentional with those things. You have to set that mode for Jacob.
We said it doesn't work for him. The wind down is for us.
Oh. I think my kid is, people always say, oh, he's a mix of both of you. When he was younger, he was a busybody, just all over the place. Not like Jacob, though. He wasn't running up and he can talk.
Jacob's doing cartwheels up the stairs. Yeah, that's Jacob.
He can talk to
Jacob
whoever.
is super social. He'll make friends just like that. He'll talk to. Our thing is also teaching him stranger danger, which is, I mean, we're not overly concerned there, but he is. So he could talk to anybody, and that is often a challenge. We're adults, no. Kids, go. That guy over there that's playing basketball, go talk to him, and he'll go over there and what's up? Let's play basketball. And they play basketball for 3 hours. So
that's not my kid. My kid is not. He's scoping out the place first. He's assessing if he even wants to go over there, and then he might not even do it that one day. He might do it tomorrow. He'll think about it. You wait and see how I feel about it. Do I really want to do that? I think that's some of me, because I pause, and if at work is one thing. If I have to if I have to stand in front of somebody, I just do it's work. But when it comes to friendships and stuff like that, I scope it out. I go into new spaces, scope it out first, hold up, give you the benefit of the doubt. I'm not letting you in all the way in just right now. Now, some people in my life I have clicked immediately with, and I'm still friends with till this day. But that doesn't happen all the time. I'm assessing.
So would you say you're surprised at how much like you he is?
No.
Not surprised about it. Okay.
No. He has traits like his dad, but I can see when he does certain things, I'm like, oh, that's me. He's quiet sometimes. Yeah, that's me. I don't want to really talk sometimes. Sometimes that's me. I think I've gotten out of that more so in my 30s, 40s, and stuff like that. That's my career has grown. But I've seen a lot of how I was when I was younger. Quiet. People be like, why Jowharah don't talk? Why she don't smile? They used to ask mom that, and mom be like, she don't need to smile at you. Is there anything funny? Mom used to always defend me on that. And I'll be like, if I'm not walking around just.
A mom defended all her kids.
Yeah. So,
The last thing I'll say here is I will always remember, first of all, before I say that, I will say the amount of life learning that I have identified in recent days that I got from church. I am discovering what trauma is through my therapy. And trauma isn't necessarily something that's like wildly like, oh my God, that person. It's not
always something big.
Exactly. That's not the trauma that I'm referring to. It's more around how parts of religion has kind of wrapped itself around me in certain areas that's kind of prevented me from being who I wanted to be earlier in life.
Because we were involved in church and we heard certain things. And
exactly.
Certain things, yeah.
Exactly. I remember even walking across the grounds at church, and people would come up to mom and go, "Why does he walk like that?" And it was because I always walked,
upright.
I walked like any normal person.
But you walk confidently.
Yes, and I couldn't understand why that was such a bad thing.
You know, people said that about me too. That I walk. I can spot you in the crowd by the way you walk. I'm like, really?
I'm like, but isn't like how are we? So we're not hunched over. We're not walking awkward. We're just my shoulders are broad. Always been broad. So I mean, they sit where they sit, and I walk with my chin up because I need to see where I'm going. I mean, that's natural, isn't it? But it's an emulation thing, and it's a lot of what our kids get their information from. That's how dad walks. Mm-hmm. That's how mom walks. Mm-hmm. They walk confident
and looking up,
and look you right in the eye. Now, we're not looking down at the floor. We know what we don't walk that way. So we often got judged by that, and then I would often get judged by the way that I spoke. Why are you speaking like a white person? What do you mean? I speak proper English. We've always spoken proper English.
Last time I checked.
But I didn't realize until someone said that to me in Sunday school, because I was helping mom teach a Sunday school class, and they're like, "Why are you speaking like a white person?" I didn't realize that me speaking proper English was equated to speaking like a white person, because I wasn't speaking broken English or what would be considered Ebonics at the time. I didn't know anything about that. We weren't raised in the hood.
No.
I don't know anything about that.
No.
I speak the English that my dad speaks, which is proper English.
Proper English. And I wonder, I've never gotten that, but I wonder
I've
if
gotten
also,
that a few times.
I've never, okay, correction. On the phone, I might. Code switching, that's what I did. People would always say, oh, like when friends call, hey, you sound like a white person on the phone.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. But I wonder, but I've never had anybody tell me that I sounded just naturally talking. You enunciate. You a communicator. You want people to understand what you're talking. Yeah. So you are intentional in when you speak, mm-hmm. versus when you don't. So now is a problem.
So I always speak that way, and I think because when you say code switching, code switching. For me, has always been when we're in close proximity to family and our accents come out. That's the only variation on the way I speak that I have ever had. And Nick likes to make fun of it. He's like, "Well, around your family, you get that Jamaican." So he always knows when I'm talking to mom, because he's like, "Oh, you're talking to your mom," because it comes out. But other than that, it's English. I don't know what else.
I don't know how else you want me to sound. I've never had anybody tell me that. I guess I have more of an accent than you do, I think. I don't know. Because I get a lot of people tell me, I can hear your accent when you speak. Where did that come from? I get that a lot.
That's interesting. It may have had for me, I think it was more sharp, the proper tone, because I got teased a lot in middle school because of the accent. So I lost the accent in middle school. It only comes out when I'm around family. Mm-hmm. And these are the things that I learned in therapy. I mean, middle school those were some challenging years for me.
And you were in middle school longer than I was up here.
Yes, it was 3 years for me.
And it was just 2 for me, but was it 7th and 8th grade? Yeah, at the same school. Paul Revere.
Yep.
Yeah, you had, and you did elementary. No, you didn't do any elementary.
I did, before Paul Revere, it was Dodds, 5th grade.
So yeah, you did some elementary here.
No, Dodds is in Panama.
That's
the American school in Balboa.
Yes.
Anyway, Jowharah, thank you for spending some time with me today. I always say us because it's the audience that we're talking to, but I think this has been a wealth of information and certainly good perspective, understanding that we align a lot in our connection to our parents and where we get some of our attributes from, and definitely what we are looking to share with our kids. It's the fatherhood perspective that even you as a young lady, if you will, are able to share with Bryce. Even though you're not a father, you're taking the father components from dad and passing that on to Bryce. That's again the gist of fatherhood and Fathernetics. So I appreciate you coming on the show with us today.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. We'll talk to you on the next episode.
Do it. You can never find somebody do it like me. I'ma turn it all the way up, cause it kamikaze. Go ahead and try, baby, you are gonna see that you'll never ever find somebody do